Hello. Welcome to the Project Failure Files. I'm Sharon Weaver, CEO of Smarter Consulting.
And I am Christian Buckley, founder of Collab Talk. And I am really excited to finally kick off this series, Sharon.
This series is geared towards anyone and everyone who has ever had the title of project manager or anything similar, as someone who is responsible for leading or overseeing projects. There's many variations on this, such as program managers, product managers, or all kinds of other fun titles.
Yeah, I've been a consultant, change management expert that was brought in, a team lead, a manager as a W-2 employee. I've been an advisor, and I've been, of course, both of us have been business owners, all of which had me responsible for various projects, internal and external.
So the purpose of the Project Failure Files series is for us to be able to talk about some of the common pitfalls that people experience, and then be able to share some of our own personal stories and experiences around project management. We're going to explore the strategies and best practices to help you implement successful project and change management practices.
And I love approaching topics from this angle. Essentially, this is what not to do and why. And then we hope to make it both a mixture of both theoretical concepts as well as practical examples and best practices from our lives, from our careers.
So why would you be interested in following this series?
Yes, Sharon, why would people want to listen to this and to us? That's a good question.
Well, I'll give you 3 good reasons and more if I come to think of them. Number 1, improve decision making. By understanding what not to do, you can actually make more informed decisions, avoid potential pitfalls, hopefully make better choices through the project lifecycle. Number 2, enhanced execution. We're going to share practical guidance and real-world examples to empower you to execute your projects and change initiatives more effectively, leading to improved outcomes and stakeholder satisfaction. And number 3, professional development. We really hope to make this series a valuable resource for your continuing professional development, equipping you with knowledge and tools to excel in your project and change management roles.
Yeah, this is no pressure on us at all. Yeah.
Yeah, well, whether we deliver all that or not is yet to be seen, but we have goals.
The goals. Well, and that's one thing. Number 4 is we're going to try and have some fun with this. And some of the, I like laughing at my own mistakes. I could recognize a lot of those mistakes, not all of them. I won't admit to everything, but some of those things. But why don't we cover some of the topics, the things that we're excited to be talking about? And this is I guess we should have said too, that the plan is for a weekly show, and it's most weeks. I think when one of us is around, we may occasionally record rather than be live, but the goal is weekly, and we've got a lot of content to cover over the coming months.
Yeah, once again, no pressure.
No pressure.
Big goals.
Well, our first full regular episode next week? What are we interested in talking about? What do you think? What are we going with this outline? Are we going to stick with this?
There's all kinds of cool stuff we can talk about. I think, maybe one of the things we could do is talk about our top 2 choices and see what our audience thinks.
Yeah, that's true. Well, we had talked about, I think this is like a good number 1 and number 2. The first thing that I think we'll talk about is having too many cooks in the kitchen. So the problem of having too many or excessive decision makers. I'm in another side of that. Maybe it's even a slightly different problem, but is having to make decisions through bureaucracy by committee. That's part of that. Too many people that think they own the decision around a problem.
Oh, and too many layers and maybe, lack of clarity and who's the actual decision maker. Like sometimes I think that would actually be a super fun topic if we talk about what not to do in terms of, how many people to allow to make decisions and who to make the decision. That'd be a fantastic topic.
Well, that's one of those things too. That's, what are we going to talk about around that? Again, I have specific stories. I'm sure you do too, that just come to mind when I think of that. But that's also why is any new engagement, any new project, a new team internally or a new client, part of that initial discovery or assessment is also understanding who are my stakeholders and what are the roles. So there's a lot to talk about there. It's for something so basic, so fundamental, surprising how many times, like, in fact, most of the time, that's clear.
Yeah. No, often they don't know who the actual stakeholders are. And sometimes they think that they know who the stakeholders are, but they actually don't know who the stakeholders are. So, yeah.
Well, one of the other ones, so I think this is what you were alluding to, the sister topic to this is the avoiding overreach, the perils of boiling the ocean. So there's the problem of being stifled by too many cooks in the kitchen. The other side is just taking on too much. We're going to talk a lot about, scope creep is another idea.
What? Nobody ever does that. Like, everybody always well defines a completely manageable project. Nobody ever like tries to do too much. So nothing to talk about there.
Well, then there's also recognizing that your organization is bad at change management. It's clearly not a strength. Like, people freak out and are overwhelmed by, and you're recreating the wheel every time a new major change comes down. So that's something we're going to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, like, immediately have 3 stories in my brain for that topic.
Yeah. Well, I think, as we've outlined, we have, I think right now, so what is it, 38? I think there's 35
we came up with a few,
and there's going to be more that's added to it. Well, part of this is that we do want this to be interactive as well. So if you have, we may already have it on our list, but we'd love, as we go through, if you shared some of your project failures, your nightmare projects, like what happened. And if it's not in our outline, if it's not part of our plans, we'd love to add that in. And maybe even add people in to share their stories. We have that ability. So I think we're streaming in multiple locations. So Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. LinkedIn is really our primary. We're also out on Twitter, X, but I call it Twix. But we have the ability to add people in as guests. So that's something that we can arrange and do as well. So, but please do comment at the very least.
Yeah, we're really excited to hear your stories. And one of the reasons we wanted to do this is because we just spent so many times talking about all of the times that, we did things wrong, that we're like, surely everybody else has these stories too. And not only they're entertaining, but they're helpful because you can learn what not to do. And hopefully that'll give you some ideas of what to do.
One of the reasons that I love, being involved in various communities out there. And so Sharon and I are both very active members. We work in the Microsoft ecosystem as Microsoft MVPs. And, but we get together, we see each other, around the world at various events that we speak at, that we participate in. And often the most rewarding aspects of attending those events and seeing people in the community is sitting around sharing war stories, talking about various projects, and you see this, and what'd you experience on this? And I learned so much more by even just sitting, if I've got a question or something, and hearing the experiences and the questions that other people ask. So we very much want to make this interactive. Maybe we should also give a little more of a background. And Sharon, again, I know we've both been project managers. I don't know if you started there. What's kind of your history? What types of projects have you managed?
Yeah, I have all kinds of stuff. So I kind of went up that chain where we used to believe that BAs grew up to be project managers. I think that's kind of a common myth, actually, is that BAs turn into project managers. And I had done a lot of dev work and I did a lot of BA work. And so naturally, of course, I would grow up to be a project manager. And what I found is I really like the analysis side, but I also like the project management side too. And down the road, I ended up doing, I've managed a lot of applications. So I work for software application companies. I have managed projects to the point where I had like multiple enterprise projects going at one time. I worked for an engineering company for a while. I've also done a lot of contract work within different industries where I primarily was doing like practice management and content management, management, managers of content
management. Yeah.
management. But at the end of the day, you know, a lot of my experience was just my job was to make sure things got done. It wasn't so much about managing the people, but it was about, we want to accomplish this thing in this amount of time with this many dollars, and we want you to make sure it gets done. And ultimately, what that ends up falling into is that project management realm. And as a business owner, as a consultant, I think one of the key things that we do is a ton of project management, because it is on us to make sure that our clients get what they want in the time they want it, in the budget they want it. And so ultimately, like, those core skills are really driven around project management anyways.
I agreed. No, it's kind of funny too. It's you know, in my career, so I started also as a business analyst, as a technical writer, business analyst. I moved early in my career, like I think, was it 5 years in, moved into a project manager role. And I was doing data center consolidation. So I've never been on the engineering side. I worked for EDS for a little bit, and they tried to make me become a COBOL programmer. I declined politely. Although that was before Y2K. I mean, this is 30 years ago, and I was kind of kicking myself about 5 6 years later, seeing what those people were earning hourly. Yeah, it was insane. But no, I still would have been bored to death and hated my work. But no offense to people that love COBOL. Sorry, I don't want to offend anybody out there. Are
those people still working and watching?
Financial services, it's still out there. Oh yeah, there's a lot of that stuff that's still out there. No, but it's you know, doing that, moving to that role, and then became an application PM, like a technical project manager. I went in and then started. I had that unique role of then building a shared services team and building then a formal PMO, and did that for several other companies and consulted for a while of that. But then I've also been, you know, back in an individual contributor role. I've managed teams and people. I'm one of those people, like, I love managing a small team. Like it really is true. You know, like 5 to 7 direct reports is the ideal. Like I've been on teams where we're just crushing it. Anything handed to it, we're crushing it because we knew our roles and that. And we will talk about some of the topics that fall in around people management side as well. But then I was an evangelist, a technology evangelist for software companies. I became a CMO. But back again in the 90s, I also went and got my MBA in technology management, which is essentially a project management master's degree.
Yeah.
But I've had a lot of people, this is kind of funny too. I've had a lot of people, I've had teams where I got the budget for and paid for people to go get their PMP certification. Did you ever get your certification?
No, it's I've studied for it. I actually participated in a lot of user groups. I did some leadership training for PMI, and I kept meaning to, and I just never actually completed it. And every year it's on my little list of things like, that'd be kind of cool to do. And yet I just haven't gotten it done.
Well, so I felt like, again, I did my MBA. It's like, I don't need to go get the certification. I went through that. I'm done with schooling. I don't know if I've ever told you this, but I actually got into a law school and did like half of my first semester of law school. So I thought I wanted to go that direction, but I started it immediately after my 2.5-year MBA program. And I'm like, what am I doing? And I started a company during that. So you got young kids at home. I just finished 2.5 years of my MBA, going at night, you know, every week for 2.5 years while working full time, and starting a software company. And I just was studying for my midterms and just said, I can't do this. I was just burned out, and so dropped out. But
I feel that way. I feel that way when I talk about, so I have a 6 Sigma black belt. And I feel a lot of people kind of feel like a 6 Sigma black belt is kind of akin to an MBA in terms of knowledge and experience.
I look at it that way, or is a PMP certification? Yeah.
Right. And so when I got my 6 Sigma black belt, I'm not going to lie. Like, I had to study hard. I had to retake 2 semesters of statistics to be able to get through my 6 Sigma black belt. And I took a really hard test at the end. And I really felt by the time I was done, same thing. I was just like, yeah, I don't want any more certifications or school for a little while.
Yeah.
It was a little bit much.
Well, I guess why I brought that up is I think that's all right. I mean, again, that I don't feel like that you have to go have those certifications. Now, certainly, it can be very meaningful for the career. I think that's one of those, a PMIs is well established. It was recognized as experts in that. I jokingly, I mean, for years I had the PMBOK printed, the book version sitting on my desk, would reference that.
Same.
But part of what I would tell my teams that I managed, I said, it's fantastic. Like, I will pay for, the courseware, I will pay for the certification at the end. If you fail it the first time, like, you have to pay the retest fee, but we'll cover all of that once you've passed it. And I would always say that it's fantastic that you've learned this and that you have more tools in the tool belt, but please do not attempt to do it all with every project.
Yes.
And that's like the key learning from, and it's hard. You're hyped up around what you've learned. You want to try all these different things. And I've seen, this is one of those things that we're going to cover. I've seen, and in fact, it's not in our list that we need to add, is, I've recently been trained and I'm trying to apply too much.
Oh, yes. That'd be a good topic. Yeah. There's definitely a fine line between rigor and getting it done, and also being flexible enough to not feel like you're like stonewalling yourself into a project.
Right. So that's what, again, there's a, in martial arts, 100 ways to kill a person. You only need to remember one, the one that's important at the time. Maybe that's not the best analogy, but anyway, but that's the whole idea, is that it's good that you have that framework. You understand, like, so I always say, I don't care what methodology you use, but have a methodology, have a version that works for you, and one that fits the culture of the organization. Again, whether it's internal or you're consulted out externally, do what fits the org.
I think methodologies is, I think we have it on the list somewhere, but I think, methodologies in and of itself is a fantastic topic for all the same reasons, right? It's, if you don't know what your methodology is, then you're everything but nothing. And so I think that's another great topic too, that we'll probably talk about. And I'm sure in general, methodologies kind of underlies all of these conversations. And so, it used to be one of those things where I'd go in and I would just start working, and then I'd figure out the methodology afterwards. And I will tell you now, whenever we go into work on a project, I'm always like, what methodology do you guys follow? Because
what is your process? Right.
Yeah.
Well, and then there's the defined, what they've organized and they have out there documented. And then there's what the organization actually uses, what they actually do. I mean, when I started out, so similarly, when I built that first PMO and I took like the best practices, what was working, this is how old I am, but it was in a giant 3-ring binder, was all of my templates with like all the guidance around that. And I would go and recreate them. I was using, I was a PageMaker guy. So this was, which was what, Aldus PageMaker, and then they got bought and Adobe bought all that, I think. And so anyway, but I would create all that stuff, and I would go then and work with the organization, and here's the pieces, here's what I've used, and I would then move the templates and that part of the process in, based on their needs and based on, again, the cultural aspects, because to go out. We both work in the collaboration field, so we're both SharePoint teams, like all the technology, the Microsoft stack around that, and again, as much as I don't sell licenses, so I don't care like what you own. Mine is more of a question of, what do you have? Let's now talk about what you need to get your work done. And so whether you have a formal intranet and a collaboration platform like Teams and a social platform like Engage, formerly known as Yammer, like, doesn't matter. What tools do you have? If those are your tools, if you want suggestions on other things, let's help you find the right mix that'll work for this organization.
Yeah. And I think there's a lot of stuff coming. It's so timely because, we talk about the generational shift, which is happening. And I think a lot of things are changing, and we've got so many really, inspiring and excited young project managers that are coming in to take over some of these projects that I think, just don't have those years of experience that some of the other people who've been around for a long time do, but they're really excited, like you said, to get in and kind of do a good job. And so I think there's going to be a mix of people, kind of sharing their stories and sharing what's happened in the past, and people who are coming in and who are excited to learn from that. And maybe, maybe they've only done 1 or 2 projects. And so they're already starting to see kind of how this goes and how can they, use some of that knowledge to get ready for what they're about to do in their career.
Yeah. And this is something too. I've been asked that question a lot. Being a person with, my MBA, my undergrad is in marketing, being a marketing guy that I've not really worked in many marketing roles. I sort of, but not really, but been in tech my entire career. I mean, project management has been a constant throughout that, but I get asked that question of like, people are like, look, I got a CS degree, or I got something else. I got involved in tech or passionate, but like, what are the possible jobs and things that are out there? If you have any semblance of organizational skills, if you are somebody who likes to take chaos and get it organized so that it moves through from beginning to end, if you have any of those tendencies, it's prime for people with OCD and ADD to go and take control of these things and clear them up so that people are able to successfully get to our goal, that outcome, what we're actually trying to do. There are so many different roles. Everybody needs project managers. So it's a great area. Again, some of the best project managers, like one of them that I've ever worked with, had a degree in music composition.
Mm-hmm.
So nothing related to it, but just got very passionate, just found his passion, and was just a fantastic, really organized PM.
So if you also love trying to get a bunch of cats and put them into one box or one room, then you probably are a good fit for project management, especially in the tech space, because it's basically keeping everybody on the same page all at once while they all try to leave.
Yeah. There's and I'm not knocking the BA role, because like you, I think a business analyst role is misunderstood. It's very different from the project manager. The way that I define the differences there, and I'm not, again, there are plenty of BAs, both of us, that moved into PM.
Another great topic.
Right. That's just a different topic. But I mean, business analysts being the way that I describe that is, people that understand the business systems and around the technology, and they're often that bridge between the business and the technology or IT team, and translating the needs to make sure that, what the business needs is being met by technology, and the technology folks that understand, the guardrails, the scope of everything that they're worried about over, and translate that to the business. Important role, but I think it's just very different from the PM then takes a look at that and says, all right, we've now outlined what the plan is. I'm going to go make sure it happens.
Exactly. No, that's 100% it. The business analyst tends to define what's going to happen, and the project manager makes sure that it happens.
Thank you for summarizing that. So I give the narrative version of every answer.
It's like ChatGPT. Let me summarize this for you.
That's right. Well, that's it. I think for our next episodes, again, will be our goal is, every Monday you'll be able to find us. You'll see us out on social media. We'll be primarily promoting joining us via LinkedIn. And that's where I would direct you. I mean, you could comment anywhere and it should find its way in. We're using StreamYard to record or to live stream these events, and we'll grab your feedback. We will incorporate them in. You'll see your comment showing up at the bottom as you're commenting. We may have, this is a recording for our first session because we're busy next week. There's going on, but we're launching. We're going live now. So we're going to do as much as we can to add people in, make them part of that discussion. But please follow the series, and we'll build a series page as we have a couple episodes to make it easier to find, upcoming shows. But each episode will be, they'll be like anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes long. They'll be a bit more structured because we have a specific topic that we'll be going through, and we have examples, case studies that we'll share, personal stories, but then also the guidance. So we'll get into like, what should you do around this? Or here's areas to go learn about this, the various tools that are available out there. And occasionally, it's not unheard of for Sharon and I, we'll also talk technology if it's relevant.
Yeah. Or get off topic.
Right. Well, that's going to happen every time. Me go off topic? What? Yeah.
Never. Never.
So with that though, any closing words, final thoughts, Sharon, as we launch off this new series?
I am so excited to do this. I feel like we talk tech so much and we do so much in the tech space that it's really nice to kind of go back to our roots and have some conversations about really like getting things done. And so I'm just really excited to do it.
And please, if you've not done so already, follow us on LinkedIn, on X, wherever you find us, wherever you're most active. We're across most of the things. I'm out on Blue Sky and Mastodon and like all these different places. So wherever you're more social, but LinkedIn is our #1 location. What I always suggest is, if you want to connect and join up networks and have a conversation, like please put a little note and say, hey, caught an episode or I've got this background, so that we know where it's coming from and we're more likely to connect with you if there's a connection point, if that makes sense. Yes.
Like and subscribe.
So thank you so much. We'll see you next week. And at this point, I'm going to start the outro with the music. So see you, Sharon.